This video in its entirety is shot on a Huawei P20 Pro. It's slightly off the wall. I'm making banana bread and I'm going to talk you through the whole process. Again, shooting it on a P20 Pro. Reason this kind of falls under the ethical category is because it's vegan banana bread, so completely cruelty free, but also you can do a lot with the smartphones that we got, so it's hopefully going to inspire some of you guys to make some videos yourself. Like I said, entirely shot and recorded on the P20 Pro and exported into Premiere Pro and edited. So let's kick it off, and this is a special banana bread. It is done with thyme and olive oil. Thyme and olive oil with some raisins too, so it's kind of like a really gorgeous Mediterranean hot cross bun. First things first, pick apart the thyme. Trick with this one is to reverse pull against the stems and you can peel off all the leaves. Get a nice amount of thyme, a couple of good pinches in there. Then you'll want a quarter of a cup of oat milk, almond milk, either will do. You'll also want a quarter of a cup of olive oil as well. Now this is being shot in 4K and it's being output in 4K on YouTube, so feel free to watch it on a 4K screen to get the full effect. You're also going to want half a cup of brown sugar. I like to use dark brown sugar, but you can use light brown sugar. Definitely you'll want soft brown sugar. Also 3 bananas. This is a perfect recipe if you've got some really overly ripe bananas. The blacker the better in this case. 3 bananas on the inside, you'll need another one for the outside. You want cinnamon, you want mixed spice, you want ginger, and a teaspoon of each. Just throw them into a bowl to prep. Now you can see what I'm doing now is I'm testing out the 960 frame per second slow-mo on the P20 Pro. It's good, but you can see artificial lighting, there is some flickering going on. Right, next up, it's time to get the bananas into a blender, or you can do this with the back of a fork, but I enjoy just whizzing it up in my NutriBullet. You also want to get all the ingredients in there. So the olive oil, I'd start with the olive oil because that kind of creates a shield at the bottom of the NutriBullet for stuff not to stick to. Then throw in the milk, followed by the sugar or the spices and herbs, whichever one you want to go with first, and you're good to go. Optionally, you can throw half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of vanilla extract in there, but I tend to leave it with the spices taking center stage. Now, the slow-mo on this phone is good, but you can kind of screw it up a bit. I'm testing out the digital zoom here, but if you don't press the slow-mo at exactly the right second, which obviously I would have tried to have done with the NutriBullet, you can miss your moment. And indeed, I did miss my moment. As you saw, it's just quite awkward. I got it eventually, but you really need that first blitz in order to make it look impressive. Much easier to slow-mo with a consistent stream of something like this, where I'm just pouring the mixture into a glass bowl. Okay, next up, you want to mix 2 cups of flour with a teaspoon of baking powder. Sieve it onto a baking parchment sheet. Reason for this is it aerates the flour, so it keeps your cake nice and fluffy, but it also makes sure the baking powder is evenly dispersed throughout. So get the baking powder and the flour into the sieve, and here it is, the money shot, the slow-mo shot. Now it's 720p, so it's obviously not going to be quite as sharp as, say, the Xperia XZ2 with its full HD 960 frame per second slow-mo. Now what we can do is mix the mixture with the flour, and we want this just mix, not too mix, before we add a cup of raisins. And they're optional, but I definitely recommend them because this isn't too sweet a recipe. Now you want to get it into a loaf tin and flatten it out and get some sliced bananas on top, making a pretty pattern. This is going to crack in the middle, so it's never going to look like a perfect cake, but it'll look good nonetheless. It goes in the oven for 45 to 55 minutes, turning it halfway through until the bananas on top are nice and caramelized and a nice crack develops in the middle, and a knife or skewer comes out clean. Once it comes out of the oven, leave it to cool for around 25 minutes to half an hour before you even think of cutting it. Cool it on a cooling rack for optimal texture at the bottom, then nothing will go soggy. So that's how to make a really tasty banana bread shot entirely on the Huawei P20 Pro, and the bread itself isn't too sweet. The raisins give it nice pockets of sweetness. The spices just make it really nice and rich. It isn't too fatty. You saw there was only a little bit of oil, but despite that, the olive oil and the thyme just add another layer of flavor. I'm going to be making this all the time. No pun intended. Anyway, enough of the herbs. I've been Basil. You've been watching Basil Knows. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think about the Huawei P20 Pro. If you want to see more off-the-wall videos like this, subscribe if you're not already. That's how you'll stay on top of everything that I do. Thanks for watching. Bye.
No, I'm not a writer.